Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing good too.
What the heck do I say next? Yeah, this is gonna be awkward.
Somebody please save me.
If you struggle with keeping conversations going, you're in the right place.
Before we start, let me ask you, what is a conversation? When you think about it, a conversation can be a dialogue between two people, or it could be a group of people, but in this sense, it's going to be between two people. I tell you that to tell you this. When it comes to conversating, the conversation is going to be about one of three things. It's going to be about you, it's going to be about the other person, or it's going to be about something outside of both of you. Knowing this, I want you to think about the last conversation you had with somebody and tell me if the conversation fell in between one of those three things. But a conversation can also be made up of compliments, jokes, comments, responses, etc. But I don't want you to overthink that part and just be yourself and be natural with it. But besides that, I want you to see a conversation as a drill that you and the other person pass back and forth as you go in the conversation. It starts off at the very tip top, and then the longer you go and pass it back, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. But if you drill too deep, it's gonna go into a personal conversation on a deeper level, or the conversation is gonna dry out and it gets dull. Like the drill head, it gets dull. But the way to stop that from happening is by transitioning the conversation to something else, and then you rinse and repeat. But now that you know what a conversation is, now you need to know how to keep it going. First thing first is be curious in the person you're talking to, because each person has a story that they'd love to tell or something they'd love to talk about, and all you have to do is be a good listener. But you can't do that if you're not curious in the other person. You be curious in the other person the same way you would about something you enjoy, which would be asking questions and being like, I wonder about X, Y, and Z. And if you ever run out of things to talk about, all you have to do is take the focus off the other person, move it into something outside of y'all or yourself. But if you move it onto yourself, don't be selfish with it and just keep it on you. Move it around a little bit, switch it up between all three of them. Next thing you know, you're having a longer conversation and you're like, you talk longer than I expected, but that's okay. And also, when you're being curious in the other person, don't just be to the point to where you're just asking question after question after question without any kind of comment or response or anything. If you do that, it's gonna feel like an interview, and it's gonna be almost like you're monologuing with yourself, and it's gonna be like, do I really want to talk to this person that's just questioning everything I'm doing? So keep that in mind when you're talking to a person, and don't overthink it. But like I said, be natural. The next thing you can use to keep a conversation going, I like to call it CQR, and it stands for comment, question, respond. And with this, whenever you're talking to somebody, you may be doing it already without realizing it, or you may be doing it out of order. Whenever you're talking to a person, you're gonna be talking about something, and you may feel like, oh, I'm stuck. Okay. C, comment on whatever you're talking about or whatever the other person said. And the way this works is, let's say you're having a conversation with somebody and you feel like you get stuck. You're like, okay, what do I say next? Take that, go with the C, the comment. So you comment on whatever you guys are talking about, ask an open-ended question with it, you wait for their response, and then you rinse and repeat. And then remember the drill analogy too. Just keep on going and going about that topic, and then once it gets dull, you go to the next topic. It's like taking the drill to another spot. Now you have a fresh topic or fresh spot, and you're able to just go and continue to talk. When a conversation dies down, you can transition it by asking a question or commenting on something else outside of you guys. Here's an example of what that would look like. Hey, have you tried this vanilla mocha poco loco chocolate ice cream? No. What kind of ice cream is that? It's this new thing they got at Starbucks now. Yeah, it sounds like it tastes weird. What does it taste like? It's like a vanilla coffee flavor, but not really. It's like up there. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'll pass. Oh, that's okay. What do you have planned today though? This one may be the biggest one you want to pay attention to when it comes to keeping the conversation going. Avoid one-worded answers. Whenever you have one-worded answers, you're basically saying like, I don't want to talk to you. So if somebody says, hey, how you doing, Ryan? And I say, good. That's basically me saying, oh, I don't really want to talk to you, or I'm not really in the mood to talk, or something's going on. And it just gives off the vibe that you're not really caring. Instead of using a one-worded reply, something you can do is say that one-worded reply, but follow it up with something else. So instead of just saying good, you could just say, good, how are you doing? Or good, it's a great day, or something like that. But don't just kill it with one word. Follow it up with something, and then next thing you know, you're natural at keeping the conversation going and not killing it with one-worded answers. You know what would really help you in keeping the conversation going? I call it BAE, B-A-E, but it stands for be active and engage. And by that, I mean as in be active in speaking and be active in listening. because if you're only doing one and not the other, you're not having a conversation. So if you're speaking, not actively listening, you're basically seeming like you're not interested in what the person's talking about. Or if you're actively listening and not actively speaking, it's gonna come across
like, I don't really care much to talk about whatever you're talking about.
You get the same thing. You don't want to give that. So practice active listening and active speaking at the same time. You'll become a better conversationalist with no problem at all. And if you're not sure the difference between actively speaking and passively speaking, actively speaking is what I'm doing now, where I'm just talking to you. And passively speaking would be if I were like, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like that, but it is what it is. That would be passively speaking. But let's flip that and take it to listening. When you actively listen, you're like, yeah, yep, I know what you're talking about. Basically responding to what they're talking about. But passively listening would be like not really paying attention or having selective hearing, or probably not even responding at all. And you don't want to do that. It gives off the signal you're not caring, you're not paying attention. So avoid that if possible. And if you feel like you're bad at keeping a conversation going in the first place, something you can do as a last resort, or something where you're not really sure, is ask yourself, what would I do if I were good at keeping a conversation going? And what that's gonna do, it's gonna create the scenario in your head of, okay, what would I do if I could keep a conversation going? If I were able to just talk to people and not run out of things to say. Your brain's gonna create that scenario, and you know what you gotta do? Do what your brain gave you. And once you follow on that, you're gonna be better at communicating. You're gonna feel more confident speaking with people and keeping it going. And after that, just go from there. Just practice talking to people, whether it be on the phone, in person, online. It goes for all of them. And I got a good feeling you'll enjoy this video right here on how to keep eye contact without feeling awkward. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.